Inside Everett. I'm Kate Reardon, Public Information Director for the City of Everett, and this is the time that we have each month to talk about issues that are important to you. And today we have Doug Lockhart, who's with us from the Washington Stealth. He's the General Manager. Welcome.
Thanks, Kate. Pleasure to be here.
So what is the Washington Stealth?
The Washington Stealth is a professional indoor lacrosse team that we play 8 home games at the Comcast Arena, and we're about to start season 3 here in Everett.
Excellent, excellent. So, and you came from a different location, correct?
We were in San Jose, California for 6 years prior to moving to Everett, and we've had 2 great seasons in the Everett area and 2 very successful seasons on the floor, and we think from a business standpoint as well. So we're excited to get going with season 3. Absolutely.
Now, last year you finished out the season in a pretty spectacular place. Why don't you tell us about that?
We did. The first season we were in Everett, it was kind of one of those magical years. We moved to Everett, decided to make the move in June, and at the end of the first season we won the National Lacrosse League Championship, beating the Toronto Rock here at a sold-out Comcast Arena, and just kind of one of the highlights, I think, for everybody in the organization to really see that happen and everything that went through it. And then this past season, in 2011, we also reached the championship game, but unfortunately we lost by a goal to the Toronto Rock, and that game was played in Toronto at the Air Canada Centre. So 2 very successful seasons, reached the championship game in both, and won one and finished just a little bit short in year 2. So we're hoping to get back on track in year 3 and bring another championship back to the city and the area.
Great. We'd like to see that too.
So would we.
So tell us a little bit about this league. I mean, this is a pretty high-class league. We're not talking about junior players here. We're really talking pro lacrosse, right?
Correct. This is the best of the best in the sport of lacrosse, and something that we take a great deal of pride in. The league's actually been around. This is the 26th year of the league coming up in 2012. And it's a 9-team league, 2 divisions. In the West, Calgary, Edmonton, Colorado, Minnesota, and the Washington Stealth. And then in the East, you've got teams in Toronto, Philadelphia, Buffalo, Rochester. So pretty much spans the country and really spans Canadian lacrosse as well. So I think the thing that we're proudest of is it is the best of the best, and it's clearly the best players in the world competing at the highest level. So a real treat for the fans in the Everett area to really take a look at and take pride in.
Absolutely. And how does your roster look for this upcoming season?
We're very excited. I mean, we've tried to stabilize the roster and really keep the same guys from year to year for the most part. I think that's great for the fans because they can get their personal fan favorites and see those guys play from year to year. And pretty young group. I mean, I would say our average age is about 25. Our oldest player would be 31, and our youngest player would actually be 21. So, kind of spans the globe a little bit in terms of their ranges, but just tremendous athletes and tremendous commitment and guys that are really committed to seeing the sport grow. And we've done a number of things in the area to try to help the growth in the Puget Sound region.
Absolutely, and I wanted to talk a little bit about that because obviously the history of lacrosse is a long history. I mean, it goes back to Native Americans.
It does. It goes back to Native Americans for sure.
Absolutely, and you bring it to present day, and not a lot of people are very familiar with it unless you're really, really into it.
Unless you're one of those 12,000, 13,000 people that participate in the sport in our region. It's a new sport to a lot of folks, and we get it every week. People coming into the arena who just want to check it out, and once they check it out, it seems like they're hooked, and then they try to infect others to come into the building. So we've been very active in the community in terms of trying to be involved in both community service types of things and then lacrosse-specific development items. So very active in things like the Susan G. Komen Foundation and Habitat and all kinds of things that we've been involved in there. We also have a nonprofit Sticks to School program, which gets sticks and balls and some of our players into the middle schools and the Boys and Girls Clubs to try to grow the sport. And then we run a series of academies throughout the region, from Bellingham down to Woodinville, where we're trying to teach the sport to both those who are more advanced and also those who are just learning the sport. So really, really labor intensive, kind of a work of love in terms of getting people involved in the sport and really growing growing both lacrosse and also the name of the Washington Stealth.
Great. And what about kids who might be interested? What lacrosse would compare to what kind of sport?
I think it's really a hybrid. I mean, it's a cross between some aspects of soccer, some aspects of football, some of hockey. Very, very fast-paced sport. A lot of action, a lot of hitting, a lot of goal scoring. I mean, an average game will have 22 goals. So fans like to see goal scoring, but I think fans also like to see an element of defense as well, and you see that. So we think it's a very exciting product, and again, we base it on those that are coming into the arena for the first time and seeing it, and just kind of falling in love with it.
And your mascot is?
Mascot is Bomber the Fox, and he's also one of those elements of the organization that are really out in the community quite a bit as well, and involved in youth groups and working with the naval station here in Everett when they've got some of the ships coming in, and he's probably the busiest guy in the organization, actually.
I bet. And what about ticket prices and things like that? I mean, how reasonable is it for a family to go?
It's essentially, Kate, like going to a movie. I mean, you can actually come see a Stealth game for as really as cheaply as $7, and then on up from there. But great family entertainment, and it really is an entertainment package. You've got the dance team, you've got various contests going on during the game. You have the game itself, which is highly entertaining, and you got music playing throughout the game, and just a fun environment, I think, for families to come out and check out.
Excellent. And we're the only lacrosse professional team in Washington State, right?
We are. We're the only professional team really in the West, unless you consider Colorado West. But it's been a great treat coming to Everett and really being embraced by the community and seeing that grow over a couple of years. The folks at Comcast Arena have been awesome in terms of making us feel at home, and we'd like to call this home for a very, very long time.
Great. Anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I would say our opener is, again, January 14th against the Calgary Roughnecks at the Comcast Arena, and if people watching the show haven't been out, check it out. They can go to our website at www.stealthlax.com and get more information.
Great. Thanks for joining us, Doug.
Thanks a lot, Kate. It's been a pleasure.
And we will be right back with the team's captain, Jason Blum, right after this.
George, it's a great deal. Only used a couple of times, and it gets great parsecs for very little dilithium crystals.
Well, I appreciate the offer, but what I really need is information about Social Security. How do I find out what my monthly payment will be?
Online.
How about if I just want Medicare?
Online.
Oh my. We'll boldly go to socialsecurity.gov.
Let's go kick the tires.
Welcome back to Inside Everett. Joining me now is team captain from the Washington Stealth, Jason Blum. Welcome.
Thank you, Kate, for having me.
Absolutely. So, you've been playing lacrosse for about how long?
I started playing lacrosse, I think, when I was 3 or 4 years old in Vancouver, Canada.
Ah, are you Canadian?
I am Canadian.
Okay, so we may hear a few A's.
My A's in the boots will come out. I can't hide it.
Excellent, excellent. Well, and I understand that lacrosse really is to Canada like football is to America. Would you say that's true?
Absolutely. It's funny. In Canada, lacrosse is actually our national sport, and everybody would think hockey, but it's actually lacrosse.
Absolutely, and hockey and lacrosse are huge in Canada, and they're huge here in Everett, which is great too.
Yeah.
So tell us what you've got.
I've got our lacrosse stick here, an indoor lacrosse stick, so everyone uses the same length stick.
Okay.
And then our ball, and they're hard rubber, and guys are flinging this ball around probably 110 miles an hour out there, so it's moving.
So how does the game work?
So
for our newbies out there, how does it work?
out there, there's a lot of similarities to outdoor lacrosse, but on the flip side too, there's a lot of differences. The best way to describe indoor lacrosse is just like hockey. It's 5-on-5. You're playing in a hockey rink with glass around, boards around. There's one goalie, a couple refs out there. It's fast-paced. It's physical. There's more goals than hockey. Typical goals in game are 20 to 22 goals. So a lot more goals. It's a lot faster pace, but there's a 30-second shot clock similar to basketball, so you only get a certain amount of time with the ball in your sticks. There's a lot of end-to-end action. Similar to basketball, there's a lot of the same plays, the pick and roll plays, the two-man games. When you're playing, there's music blasting the crowds, fans are on their feet, pounding the glass. It's action-packed. But you go back to football, and there's open field hits. There's that physicality to it. So you kind of get the best of a bunch of different sports. But the whole purpose of it is to put this little ball in a net that's being guarded by a goalie, similar to hockey, and the goals are worth 1 point each. And it's fun to play, and it's certainly exciting to watch.
So when the ball moves from player to player, does it always have to go from net to net, or can you hold it in your hand?
No, it goes net to net. Yeah, it goes net to net.
Okay. And when it falls on the ground, what happens?
You're picking that thing up as soon as you can before you get hit.
How many big hits have you had?
There's a bunch. I mean, every game, there's some bodies flying around out there, just like football. Mm-hmm. You're going to see the big collisions, but it's controlled aggression too. Sometimes it passes the tipping point. There may or may not be a fight out there, just like hockey.
Okay.
But it's pretty controlled. Like, you never feel like you're not safe or out of control.
Mm-hmm. So in the different teams, are there some that are more to be fighters and some that are less to be fighters? I mean, would you typically see same guys?
Yes and no. I mean, the league is so good right now there's 9 teams in the league, there's 20-some guys per team, so you go around each roster on each team, and there's All-Americans sitting in the stands. So each team has so much skill that you just don't have a place for just what I would consider just a goon or someone out there just to start stuff. But typically you're going to see the D guys are a little bit meaner and nastier and more aggressive, and those tend to be the guys that have the gloves fall off.
So tell us about your roster. How are you feeling for the season to start?
We've got a great team. We won the championship 2 years ago. Last year we lost by a goal in Toronto. Our staff, our coaching staff, our GM, our president, they've done a great job in really keeping the nucleus together. What's unbelievable is we're a real young team. When we won it 2 years ago, I think there's one guy on that roster that had won previously, which is, it's pretty shocking, it's pretty surprising at any professional level to have that few guys win. And so for us to come up here at that time, being our inaugural season in Everett, and to win, it was a Cinderella story. And then for most of us, being our first championship, that was something special as well.
Oh, absolutely. That's exciting. So you have been playing in this league for some time, right?
Yeah, this is my 6th season of professional lacrosse. Mm-hmm. So I've played my first couple years were out in Colorado, and then I was traded to Boston, and then we moved out here 3 years ago, and fortunately the San Jose team relocated to Everett, and got lucky.
That's great.
Found the background, yeah.
Excellent. So what is your favorite part of the game?
There's a couple parts. I love the competition, being around the guys. That's something that certainly drives you and motivates you. But the other side of it now, and really seeing lacrosse explode and being a big part of that, both regionally in the community and then nationally, just seeing. I think lacrosse is the fastest growing sport in North America right now, and you're seeing kids walk around Mercer Island or Bellevue as young as 4 and 5 years old with sticks on their shoulders, going to throw the ball around. It's fun to be part of. And so on the flip side of it, going back and coaching a little bit and helping spread the game is, you get something out of it. You definitely do.
Mm-hmm. Any good luck charms?
I've got a couple good luck charms, and some of which I can say, and some that I'm superstitious and probably shouldn't.
Ooh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, I think everyone's got their good luck charms, but mine's nothing to write home about.
So what would be one that you can tell us about?
I'll typically eat the same meal before every game. I typically like to get to the game 2.5 or 3 hours before the game. I'll play the same music in my iPod before and kind of warm up the same way. I'll say the same things to the same guys. It's, kind of boring, but and quirky. But
Okay, what
it's my
music?
thing.
What music?
I'll have everything on there from U2 to Red Hot Chili Peppers to some Metallica. You name it, I'll throw it in there.
You got to throw in, some good old, like Motley Crue or something.
Yeah,
maybe?
I've got. No, I'll waver into Motley Crue. Not on game days. Metallica, I will.
Okay. And what's the food of choice on game day?
Food of choice is typically just light. I'll go chicken and salad, and as much as I can eat, probably 6 or 7 hours before.
Great.
Yeah.
So what is the best part for the fans? When they come to the arena in Everett, what do you want them to experience?
I think the fans, and you get this from fans that have been there since day one, or the guys that come in and say, hey, this is my first ever game. They come back and say, I did not know how exciting it was. Because there's 30-second shot clocks, and because we're playing in a confined arena, I mean, there's shots, there's goals all the time, there's hits every possession. And on top of that, on top of it being a bunch of goals, it's just energetic. I mean, there's music blaring through the speakers, there's fans with their shirts above their head waving it around and hammering the glass as you're just, inches away on the other side. I mean, we feed off of it. I'm sure the fans feed off it as well. I will never forget our championship game. We were down by a couple goals in the third quarter, and the place was just erupting. I mean, it felt like the roof was going to come off, as if we're in a concert. And we fed off it, and we started going on a roll and scored 5 or 6 straight. And the place was just going bananas. And that was unbelievable. But it's like that in a bunch of cities. It's like that in Everett. Out in Colorado, we'll play in front of 18,000 people, and they pack the Pepsi Center. Same in Buffalo. I mean, you can't get a ticket there, and it's certainly going that way at Comcast Arena. It's fun to play in front of.
Great. Well, we're looking forward to seeing you and your teammates this upcoming season, starting next month.
Yeah, we've got camp starting pretty quick here. We've got an exhibition game up in Vancouver against Toronto, an exhibition game here against Colorado. It's unfortunately closed to the public, I believe. And then the 14th of January, we've got our arch rivals, the Calgary Roughnecks, in, and we just don't get along with them, so that'll be a fun one.
Good. So hopefully we can pack the house for that one.
We'd like a packed house for that, and we'll get after it again with those guys.
Excellent. All right, good luck to you and the Washington Stealth.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for joining us for Inside Everett. Get out there and catch a Stealth game starting next month.